namaste everyone. Welcome, welcome. My name is Becca, YogaBex Cummings, and this is the weekly Woo with All About Woo here in Austin, Texas. So glad to be here with you today, sharing about one of my favorite things to talk about, which is the subconscious mind, all about the subconscious mind. We have 3 levels of mind. We have the conscious mind, we have the unconscious or subconscious mind, and we have the superconscious mind, okay? And so just a reminder, here's our mind. We talked about this last week in All About Habit Gravity, which if you missed that and if you've been struggling to incorporate a healthy habit or release a bad one, check out that training. Amazing. You can access it right in the Facebook group, All About Woo Tribe, or on YouTube. I did post it on YouTube. And more about a free challenge coming up at the end of this live. So here's the mind. The conscious mind is 5%. So you can think of it as the top sliver of 5% of this sphere. The unconscious or subconscious mind is 95% of the sphere. In between those two, we have the analytical wedge, which is, for some of us, a thicker wedge, our critical thinking aspect of the mind that separates the conscious from the unconscious. So some of it's thick, like this coaster, and other people, it's very thin, like a sheet of paper separating the two. And we're going to talk about getting through that analytical wedge and accessing the unconscious or subconscious mind today, as well as during the boot camp this weekend. And what's superconscious? Superconscious is when you are conscious in the unconscious mind. You're both conscious and unconscious, accessing both parts of the mind at the same time. So good morning, Morning Star. Thank you for being here. Oh my gosh, she's soaking in a hot springs while she listens. That's amazing. Okay, so the subconscious mind, again, subconscious, unconscious, same thing, okay, is that 95% part of your mind. And I want you to think of it like the subconscious mind, the unconscious mind, like it's both a tape recorder and a tape player. Okay, so your unconscious mind, subconscious, is both, has the ability to record. Oops, I gotta put the tape in the right way, I think. You could record, you could hit the record button. It's constantly recording all aspects of our experience. Constantly. Just soak that in for a moment. Soak that in the hot springs, Morning Star. It's constantly recording. That record button is always on. Okay? And it is also an instrument of transmission. Okay, so where do you think your thoughts come from? Are you the thinker of all your thoughts, or do some thoughts just drop in? Do you ever get downloads, intuitive knowings? Your intuition comes through your subconscious mind as well. Okay, so when you have those intuitive hits, you are super conscious. You're conscious in the subconscious mind. You have the best of both going on. You have access to it. Okay, so think of your subconscious mind as always recording and the ability to play back, so to remember what you've recorded, but also to transmit new transmission. So it's a little bit beyond what we have here in this tape deck. And like the tape deck, you want to be plugged in. Right now it wouldn't work because it's plugged in. So you want to notice what you're plugging your unconscious, subconscious mind into. Okay? Because it's always recording. Remember, it's always recording. So we want to plug it in consciously, mindfully. And you can't see it because the camera is too far away, but this is really kind of dusty and dirty. It's not in use right now. I haven't cleaned it in a while. Ooh, there's some big cat hair there. So just like this tape deck needs cleaning and some TLC, so does our subconscious and unconscious mind, right? Because it's always absorbing. You get the picture, right? So we want to clean it, we want to take care of it, we want to make sure it's plugged into what what's going to be healthy and nourishing. So plugging it into the divine. And yeah, it's always listening, and it has the ability to transmit things to us. Now, all behavior change occurs in the subconscious. You must access your subconscious mind in order to ground behavior change into your being. All behavior change occurs there, okay? Your unconscious mind or the subconscious stores memories. It makes associations. It connects the dots. It organizes all your memories. It's like a filing cabinet in there. It will repress memories. As many of you know, it will repress things, and it will repress unresolved negative emotions. And as we're ready, it presents these things for resolution. So I went through a trauma when I was in my early 20s, and my subconscious mind blacked that out, and I didn't remember it for 20 years until I quit drinking, and then it surfaced. It was ready to present it to me for healing. Okay? So as we're ready, these things will be able to remember things, or things will arise from the subconscious. It runs the body. The subconscious mind has the perfect blueprint for health and healing for your body. And it's running all our systems. Okay, so when there's dis-ease or disorder, it means that we're out of rapport, we're out of connection with that healthy blueprint. There's something that's diverting the natural course of health and healing from happening. It maintains the integrity of the body. It's the domain of the emotions. Yay! Emotions are amazing. I, for many years kind of had a love-hate relationship, pun intended, with my emotions. But emotions are our inner guidance system, our inner compass for determining if we're in ego, if we're in judgment, or if we're aligned with our higher self. So the emotions are a tool we have to tell us and allow us to course correct. And that's something we're going to be doing this weekend in my 3-day free challenge, the Let That Shit Go Bootcamp, which is about, we're going to be learning tools for accessing the unconscious mind and retraining it in alignment with healthy habits, releasing things that no longer serve us, like maybe they served us for a while, but now they're out of balance, and retraining ourselves into what we want. Okay, those healthy habits. So the unconscious mind is a highly moral being. It's where your values live and your beliefs. Your beliefs are in the unconscious or subconscious mind. So when you're changing a limiting belief, you are working with the subconscious mind. It enjoys serving you, but it needs clear, simple instructions. Think of it like a little puppy, okay? And so when you get a new puppy, it needs guidance, it needs to be leash trained, it needs to be potty trained, all those things. And when you have a little puppy and you're working with it and training with it, do you yank the puppy around, or you want to be gentle and loving with it, okay? It controls and maintains all our perceptions. So again, those are perceptions coming in through the senses, the 5 physical senses, but also our 8 extra sensory perceptions, which I did a training on a few weeks back, all about the 8 clairs. So check that out in the group, or I put it on YouTube as well. You can look for that. So perceptions, both in the physical 3D realm as well as the 5D, 7D beyond realm. Extrasensory perceptions, it transmits those again because our unconscious mind is both a recorder, like this tape deck, and a player, a transmitter. Okay? It generates and stores and distributes and transmits energy. Okay, so when we're feeling low energy, there's something going on in the subconscious that is blocking it. And or you can have something in the physical realm, in the physical 3D realm, in the physical body, which is just a map for all our experiences and everything, that can be off. And that's another thing we're going to dive into this weekend, is looking at everything has both a physical and a metaphysical root. So a lot of times what trips us up in habit evolution is we're just working with one or the other of those branches of the roots. And that's why we don't affect the change that we want, because we're not dealing with the whole iceberg. We're just dealing with the tip of the iceberg. It maintains our instincts, and it generates habits. So when we're evolving our habits, we've got to be accessing the unconscious mind and working with it directly. It needs repetition until the habit is installed and grounded in the subconscious. So when you're learning a new language, you're repeating the words over and over again. You're really studying. You're in that learning state. It's programmed to continually seek more and more. It's very curious. There's always more to discover. So it's always looking for more information. It functions best as a whole integrated unit. And that's another thing we're going to look at this weekend during our 3-day boot camp, is something that, so some of you may have done a lot of work on limiting beliefs, right? Feel like you've healed every limiting belief in the book and beyond. That was me. And this one thing I found has really been profound. And we're going to dive more into that during the 3-day boot camp. So there's a teaser for you. There's something that's in your subconscious that I've been working with that really can make a difference. So it functions best as a whole integrated unit. It's symbolic. It loves symbols. So this is the dream world, the dream state. Your dreams are symbolic, and it uses and responds to symbols. Very symbolic. It takes everything personally. It relates everything you experience as to, how does that affect me, or what's in it for me, or how am I affected, basically. It works on the principle of least effort. I love that one so much. The path of least resistance. Believe it or not, it does. It's our conscious mind that gets in there and makes it complicated, right? Where we overthink and just get all like stuck up here. I'm really good at getting stuck up here, and that's why I love doing things like I'm doing this weekend with the boot camp. Is I love sharing ways of getting you out of the head into the heart, getting into that super conscious state where the healings can occur, and the wisdom and awarenesses and all that fun stuff. And then finally, it does not process negatives directly. What does that mean? So it does not understand not. So actually, when you're saying, I'm not good enough, it doesn't hear the not part. So it actually is hearing, I'm good enough. So that's kind of a blessing in disguise, right? So for those of you who've been working on healing limiting beliefs. But when you're working with the giving it a directive, you wouldn't want to say something like, I'm not stressed. Delete, delete, delete. We're all free from this. I'm not stressed. I'm not stressed. because it's hearing, I am stressed. Delete, delete. We're all free from that. Okay, so instead, you would want to say something like, I am at peace. Something like that. Something that's the opposite of stressed for you. Okay. So some of the things that, okay, so I just want to touch on one more thing, and then I want to tell you about some techniques for accessing your unconscious mind that you can try out that work very quickly and easily. So a lot of our issues occur because we're out of rapport, we're out of connection, we're out of friendship with our unconscious mind. And so we need tools and techniques and practices that bring us into rapport, into connection with our unconscious mind. And some of the things that are good for that, or that work well for that, are getting into trance state. Okay, you can be in a light trance just listening to me right now. Okay, because I tend to speak in a cadence that's slower and more relaxing, use a pleasing tone of voice. It's kind of hypnotic. Another way of going into trance is music, dance, but stories and metaphors. So that's why I wanted to bring in this tape recorder metaphor, because stories bring us into, they help open us. Stories and metaphors go directly into the unconscious mind. They just open that door, and it helps us move past that analytical wedge or critical thinking that keeps us up in the conscious mind. They create openings to go right into the unconscious mind, story and metaphor. And they help loosen up limiting beliefs. Metaphors and stories do. Another way to get into trance is go for a long drive. Have you ever been driving in your car and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I just went the last 20 miles and I don't even remember the scenery, or you just go into a trance state. And so that helps bring you into that superconscious state where you have access to the unconscious or subconscious mind. Breath work is a great one. Doing conscious breathing, really amazing. Yoga Nidra, guided meditation like Yoga Nidra, brings you into that superconscious state where you have access to the unconscious and subconscious mind, and you can plant seeds that you want. Hypnosis, of course, meditation, things like that. So any way basically where you are more present and you're connected to the now. The unconscious mind basically lives in the now. It lives in the now, and it believes everything is in the now. So even though we consciously see things in the past or the future, the conscious mind is all about now. It's as if everything is here now. And so when we can get into that superconscious state, accessing the subconscious while we're conscious, it allows us to collapse time, create miracles. And that's why setting an intention and stating it in the positive and present tense. I'm always instructing people to do that in yoga class, and as we have these trainings and everything, it's important to state it in the positive and the present tense. The positive, so it gets into the unconscious mind. We don't want to use knots or words that we don't want, we don't want to have manifest in your life, like stress, things like that. Delete, delete, delete. Positive present tense wording, because the unconscious mind is in the now. Let me just look at my notes here. Yeah, dreams, symbolism. And again, all behavior change, this is huge. Like all behavior change occurs in the unconscious or subconscious mind. That's why it's important to use these tools and techniques of being super conscious when you're making these changes. And we're going to dive into that this weekend during the Let That Shit Go Bootcamp, which allows, so you're going to learn those techniques, learn some techniques that work, and create some positive momentum on something, a healthy habit you're bringing in and or a bad habit you're wanting to release. And really the absence of a healthy habit is kind of a bad habit, right? So we're going to be working together to create positive momentum in your life for bringing in a healthy habit, something that you've been working on that you just keep tripping yourself up on. There's some things that are happening that that I'm going to bring you into alignment with this weekend. So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm going to put the links here. And Teresa just points out that gardening is another way to get into that trance state. Things you enjoy, playing music, listening to music. For you exercisers, I know Morningstar is a very athletic person, so walking or running, yoga can put you into that connection and trance state. And let me just put this link in here for our boot camp this weekend. And please invite your friends. Let's have a fun time together and help each other evolve up our habits. Kelly says, what determines the density of the analytical wedge? That is a very good question. I do not know the answer to that, but I do know that some of us, like maybe you, Kelly, and me, because we similar in a lot of ways, have a thick analytical wedge, and some of us have a very thin one, like paper thin one. I will look into that and see what I can dig up on that, the thickness of our critical faculty. I will say that, with hypnosis, the hypnosis I've done with people and the hypnosis trainings I've gone through, before we go into the hypnotic state, before I take somebody into that state, and when hypnosis, like there's a lot of bad rap out there about it, okay? Like, oh, I don't want to run around like a chicken, like she's going to make me do weird things. You would not do anything you wouldn't normally do, okay? So people that run around with a lampshade on their head, squawking like a chicken would do that anyway, okay? You're in full control during hypnosis. Now, we determine like your level of suggestibility in hypnosis. So before we actually go into that trance state with someone, guide someone into that state, we do little tests or things to see like how thick is that analytical wedge. And I know for me, like I wasn't as suggestible. That just means it takes a little bit more repetition and work and tactics and techniques to get past that analytical wedge into the learning state. So one last thing I'll leave you with is accessing the learning state, which we learn in different ways, right? We learn, some of us are predominantly visual learners, some are auditory, some are feeling or kinesthetic. We need to touch things and feel it and, do the thing ourselves, like get our hands in the dirt to learn it. So rather than reading about gardening, you're actually gardening. And we all have all three of those going on. So by bringing in those different elements, you can help yourself get into the subconscious mind more readily, and knowing which of those you're predominantly attuned to. Like I'm very auditory. Secondarily would be visual, and third would be kinesthetic for me. But to get into learning state, a simple thing you can do in this moment right now is to lift your gaze slightly, lift your gaze up. So instead of looking straight out, you lift up a few feet, and then expand your peripheral vision out. Like you could even hold your arms out to the side or a little front at first, and then slowly take them out to the sides of your chest, of your arm sockets there, and bring your peripheral eyesight out to reach your hands, breathing. So you're still breathing, right? Expanding your peripheral vision up and out. And then just seeing if you can sense what's behind you, what's above you, what's below you. So you're really widening your visual sense and breathing. And that simple thing right there takes you into learning state, which means that you're able to plant things in the subconscious or unconscious mind, be super conscious, be conscious in the subconscious. So that is what I have for you today, my friends. So glad to be here with all of you. Let's check in the chat here. And Teresa is asking, could this weekend help with releasing fear of power success? Absolutely. Absolutely. The things that I'm going to be sharing apply to, whether you're eating too much sugar or whether you're have some fear going on that is blocking you from taking the next step that you feel called to do, but you don't know why, you just can't do it. So that's what I love about these techniques, tools, and tips, is that they apply to many things in our life. Habit evolution, as well as releasing limiting beliefs and those fears that like don't make sense. Like, I don't know why I have this fear. Like, I've done all this clearing and I'm doing all this work. Like, why is this still there? So there's going to be something that I share about that specifically could help address that. So hop on in. I think you hopped into the boot camp already. So, oh, thank you, Teresa. That exercise felt so good. Yeah, I love going into peripheral. So every once in a while, just through your day, just lifting the gaze, expanding your gaze out, sensing what's behind, all around you, breathing, and then just coming back into, the task at hand, what you're focusing on, what you're creating. So thanks, everyone. Much love to you. So glad to be here with you. And I will see you this weekend. I know many of you are already in the challenge and some of you are hopping in now. So see you Friday. Namaste, y'all. Oh, and if you can't be on the challenge calls live, the Facebook lives, that's okay. That's all in the group. There's modules I'm going to post every day for your homework as well. And there's a pre-boot camp module that I know Kelly's already dove into and completed. And the workbook will be posted later today. Yay! Namaste, y'all.